Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. I'm your host, Ril Dil Quinn. Normally, we discuss the world of sports and pop culture, but we got some different flavor tonight, a different program as we begin our entrepreneurial series. Of course, it shows that will involve business related topics. I am certainly glad to have one Adrian McDonald, who is the founder of All Calculated Measures, here to join me. Adrian, how you doing today? How you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem. I've been excited about the idea of getting into entrepreneurial, having entrepreneurs on the program. I'm just excited to have somebody who has a black owned business, and I've been promoting your way gear and clothing over the past couple of weeks to various outlets and platforms. And I'm just certainly excited to have you on the program. Of course, Adrian is the founder of All Calculated Measures. You've seen me post sweatshirts or post a t-shirt. I post the t-shirts online in terms of what in terms of my YouTube on my YouTube page. Like I have the sweatshirt on right now for my YouTube audience. Of course, we are simulcasting this podcast on YouTube and also Blog Talk Radio. But if you're on my YouTube audience, you can see the All Calculated Measures, the crown, and this is certainly this was provided by Adrian's company, and certainly has gotten a lot of positive feedback. What? How did you start off in this business? What got you into wanting to design clothes and T-shirts? And what got you into this business to begin with?
Oh, excuse me. It was a journey, man. It was nothing I saw happening. I never would have thought that I would try to monetize this. But just through life, some experiences, a few business partners, a few ups, downs, a couple failures. Um, it was almost like a journey, and I'm at my calling. The fashion is the vehicle I will use to begin, but it will be much bigger and much greater. This is just, we're just, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Um, but from a previous business venture, which was in fashion, um, I love fashion. I've been around fashion my entire life, just from growing up with my mother and my sister. They were very fashionable. And, we used, what they used to say, growing up, every day was a fashion show when we were going to school. So that's kind of where that just point always looking good came from. It was kind of like a competition. And so just bringing it up to today, a business venture I'm with, now I have two other business partners in another business venture in the fashion lane. And I wanted to find something that I could do that spoke to me because I was just behind the scenes building someone else's brand. And so what happened was I wanted to find me because I felt very comfortable in, and so just people in my ear, talking to my brother, talking to and I came to be a stylist slash image consultant. But tell you more about a lifestyle that I'm selling.
So when you say this is like the tip of the iceberg, this is so that you can't you don't see yourself into the fashion, into the clothing, and say 5, 10 years from now. This is just you think this is just a starting point for something that you don't even know about moving forward, or that you are currently working on.
Okay, I'll say this. My dad planted the seed about legacy and being able to pass on to the next generation. What I want to do, and what is, I want to jump ahead of the conversation, but it's about building economic empowerment, specifically black economic empowerment, within my family, with people who I can literally just call on the phone or I can reach out and touch them. I feel if we as a family can have a blueprint as far as how to help each other, promote, and put each other on, you can build a circle of what I'm trying to do is build a circle of millionaires, starting with my family. We're all helping each other. I'm promoting your brand on my page or on my platform, and so on and so forth. So my brother's a part of my team. My cousin's a part of my team. It's really about building Black economic wealth. And from there, the sky's the limit. But the fashion, as I said, is just the vehicle that we're using right now. Being that, of course, I've been exposed, I've been in that world for some time. Yeah, I want to do a lot more. I have another company under the All Calculated Measures, and that's kind of like a brother-sister brand, but that'll come later. But right now, we're focusing on the All Calculated Measures. And it was more, like I said, a lifestyle that I was selling, but I'm going through the branding process, so I'm going to have a series of branding campaigns. And so the merchandise that you have is the logo, what I call the logo campaign, and we're just putting it in your face because I want you to, when you see this logo, you'll recognize it, you know there's quality attached to it, and you know that it's a good brand that you can trust.
What's the bigger challenge, breaking into the business or trying to incorporate your family?
I would say the first part again, I couldn't hear you.
What's breaking into the business, trying to get your foot into the business, or trying to incorporate your family, or how do you go about incorporating your family as far as who's playing?
That's a toss-up question. That's a toss-up depending on the day of the week, really. It is really, really hard. You have to really want on in any business venture that you only you can see the vision. No
Right.
one else can see it. So you really gonna have to make sacrifices. The way I got into the fashion industry was because I partnered with someone who kind of had his own thing going, and that's how I found my way. I kind of had to go through that, take some of the bumps, some of the bruises, learn the industry, and then I came back, regrouped. I said, okay, I want to attack this now. On the other end, the other question you asked about was the family end, and that's just as challenging because this is where you're going to have to draw the line between family and business.
Right.
And you can't blur those lines. The first 2 years of me putting this together was my brother and I just going back and forth over the logo. And when I tell you, he was just like, I'm done with, it's very intense because this is something that's representing you. So it has to be correct. It has to be right. It has to be the way that you want it. So we were back and forth, man, like I said, 2 years. He was like, man, I'm so over this. But at the end of the day, the joy and the fulfillment we got out of creating something, taking it through the process, the trademarking, the LLC, doing all of that, to now you're seeing it. So that in itself, that whole process was it was definitely stepping stone, learning steps, and it's gonna test you to see how bad you really want it. And so I'll say this as far as family goes, the people that you connect with, you guys got to be on the same page as far as your energy, the vision. Everyone knows the direction that this is going. So I only have maybe 3 or 4 family members really involved in it. Everyone else is on the sidelines, cheerleading pretty much. But as far as putting in the actual work, yeah, I can count on one hand. Because most people just, by the time the t-shirts and sweatshirts came out, everyone was asking, oh, a t-shirt, where's my sweatshirt? Of course, not putting in any work. They just want the finished product.
Right.
So you're going to have to be able to draw that line between, the business and the family part. But neither are easy.
How did the name All Calculated Measures come about?
Oh, man. That's a story in itself. Everything has a backdrop. But as far as that, I knew I wanted to. My mother and sister passed away some years ago, and I knew that I had to do something for them in their name. I always knew this. I just didn't know how I was going to express it. Once I got into the fashion situation, I thought about it. I said, okay, I want to name my company, but I wanted to really connect. And so I just took my initials, the A, the C, and the M. First initial from my first name, middle name, and last name. And so I probably came up with about easily 200 to 300 different names with ACM. And I was throwing them at my brother. We kept going back and forth, until we chopped the list all the way down to about, say, 10. And then from there, we chopped it down to 3. And then from those 3, we took the best one. But I wanted it to connect to my name, but at the same time, my fashion sense comes from my mother and sister, so it was all tied in. And actually, my dad is tied into this as well. But my mother and sister really, as far as the look and the fashion side of it, that's where my inspiration comes. My structure, my business, how I handle, how I move, how I maneuver, I get that from my father. And so it's really a combination of those 3 people, my mother, my sister, and my father. And me carrying on our family name, the tradition, the legacy, being able to pass this on to the next generation coming up.
Now, there's a lot of clothing lines out. A lot of independent businesses. A lot of people are selling clothes independently with their names, and whereas hats, sweatshirts, shirts. What do you think will separate All Calculated Measures from some of some of the competitors out there? Like, why should someone purchase your property merchandise versus purchasing somebody else's merchandise?
Good question. Really, to go one step deeper, both of my we're speaking on All Calculated Measures, but it's built on something. It's really the backdrop, the story that makes All Calculated Measures what it is. I have 3 pillars that I live by, and that's part of the All Calculated Measures, which is confidence, discipline, and consistency. Confidence is knowledge of self. Discipline is structure. Consistency is results. I had to use all 3 of those things in order to bring this brand to life. So it's more than just I'm putting on a t-shirt, I'm putting on a sweatshirt. This is a lifestyle. This is how you should carry yourself. Proper. I don't have anything against having fun. There's a time and a place and everything. As branding and me coming out, I wanted it to have a specific look, and that's where the crown comes from, as far as just taking it back to our history and Africa and everything. I wanted it to be bold. I wanted it to stand out. So I wanted to keep it simple, but I wanted it to be kind of loud too at the same time here. And we had to create a balance. So All Calculated Measures is a lifestyle. The merchandise is just a vehicle to promote it, But all calculated measures is a lifestyle. If you were to become a client of mine, we would go down that road, and that is to create, maintain, upgrade your wardrobe, your style, all of that based on your lifestyle and your personality.
So
Everything would be catered to you as a person. So, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so that's really what it is. It's more than just the merchandise. It really needs a lot. But confidence, discipline, and consistency, that's the bottom floor. If you don't stick these three things in order or lined up, it's going to be hard. So that's what I'm trying to do. Give you the confidence, give you the discipline, and give you the consistency. We're just tailoring it to your personality and your lifestyle.
You know, I might be reaching
So
here.
that's why this merch. That's why this merch to me is out more.
I might.
Or would, like you say, against any other brand that's out there. But I know I'm just starting and I have to prove myself and get the brand out. But this is, like I said, the bottom floor. So confidence, discipline, and consistency is what it's built on.
And I might be reaching here in regards to this question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
someone doesn't purchase your merchandise, but through their respect for those principles or admiration for those principles, they develop a relationship with you, and that can lead to them being involved in, say, other business ventures or making other connections. Is that something that you're striving? Is that something that you're trying to obtain as well? Not just the straight, all right, I'm making money off this particular merchandise. Is that something you're looking at long term, or am I reaching with that?
Oh, yeah. I'm always looking for to network. Um, by building this brand, I found people who I can network who didn't necessarily they didn't want the merchandise, but they believed in my principles. They believed in the brand. They saw what I was doing. Like I said before, I also style. So I have a look at social media and everything, and I can give you the information. Once you see it, you get it. And I wanted to set it up to where, as, hey, if you don't want me to style you, maybe you'll buy merchandise. If you don't want the merchandise, maybe I can style you. Or you may have ideas to take this to another level, or you may have a way to bring your brand in, and we can partner up and do something. So I'm always looking to connect and network with other brands. So that's how I found my videographer. So yeah, I'm always looking to do that.
What part does your brother play in terms of the merchandise? Does he is he somebody we had conversations about your brother before, and how he in terms of his role, can share with the audience some aspects of the company that he contributes to. We already talked about with the brand, as far as the with the logo that you guys were going back and forth with. What are aspects of the company does he handle?
Oh yes. Well, he's my right now. My graphics. He created my logo, and he does the music for that brand, for that logo. I also have another logo, but my cousin does the music for that. And this is me selling in and putting them on as well. So what my thing is, all I want you to do is what you do. So I'm not going to call you and ask you to do anything that you don't do. So that's why I knew it worked. So I knew my brother did logos. He's been doing music. He's been doing T-shirts. He dabbled in covers, mixtape covers, and different promos for different artists that he works with. So he was already familiar with everything. So when I asked him about doing a logo, he already knew everything that I needed to know. So all we had to do was I threw ideas at him, and just we were just I like rough, and he'd bring me something back, and I say no, let's tweak it here, let's tweak it there, or let's change the color, let's change that color. So he was very instrumental as far as putting the look together. As far as I had it in my head, but he executed it and put it on paper. And then for the campaign I just ran for the logo campaign for the ACM Lifestyle, All Calculated Measures, which is ACM Lifestyle for short. On the All Calculated Measures campaign, he did the music because he does music as well. So starting out, I already knew who I wanted to work with, which is my brother and my family. So I was already trying to figure out a way I could incorporate them and have them contributing to the project and so promoting them at the same time.
Nielsen did a report recently that the Black community has a buying power of over $1.2 trillion. How can we get blacks to invest and to buy black owned products, invest in black owned businesses? It seems to be a major challenge, considering how powerful the black dollar is. How can we get blacks to spend on other blacks and to invest into other blacks, black owned businesses like yourself?
Yeah, man, it's a challenge. I'll say that, but I'm starting out like this. I can't say for everyone, but I'm starting out grassroots. So I basically wanted to build it from the ground, kind of like word of mouth. I'm selling T-shirts out the trunk, going to different like churches, schools, community, just different places. The people have to really feel a connection, and so I know you have the Gucci's, the Louis, and all these brands that, of course, they don't give anything back to the hood or to our people. My thing is to try to establish that connection. Like I'm from here. We're all going through the struggle, and I've given out free merchandise. So I've given out more than I've sold. So that's another thing that, as a businessman, you have to give some stuff out, just get the free promotion, and then hopefully that'll turn in your favor. I really don't have a formula or a straight up answer to say, oh, all black people are going to come out and buy stuff, because people spend their money how they see fit. But it's definitely a problem, but that's because I feel like it goes back to the self-hate, knowing who we are. That's a major part of it, because I don't want to support you because I really don't like myself. So I'd rather go and give this money to somebody else who doesn't look like me, but everyone knows his name, everyone knows his brand.
Yeah, and I see that.
That is still a work in progress, but I'm just trying to connect with the people, and that's my approach. And like I said, I've given stuff out I've given more, like I said, more merchandise than I've sold. But that's just a daily journey, a daily battle. That's not going to stop me though. But I'll take money from others outside of the black community. But of course, I want my people to buy this. And I am doing this for my people. This is why I'm doing this, to show them how you can be a black entrepreneur. These are the steps. No, it's not going to be easy, but you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
Let's say I'm 21 years old, coming out of college, would love to start my own business, whether it be clothing, I don't know, selling, I don't know, hats, wallets, whatever, what would be the biggest piece of advice that you would give to me, the most valuable lesson that you learned in beginning this journey, beginning this venture that has kind of carried you or gotten you to this up to this point?
Really, the number one, actually, there are a few, but knowing who I am, and that's a journey. That's been a journey, a lifelong journey, meaning comfortable in your own skin, not letting people force you or put pressure on you to do things that are uncomfortable to you. Knowledge of self to me is number one thing that you can have. As far because to me, once you know who you are, everything else, the world will play off of that. Because you won't allow yourself to compromise yourself. So that would be my number one thing, would be knowledge of self. And that's different for everyone. I will also say building a team, because I'm in the middle of building a team. And I need people to do and say they're going to do. Dependable, not just here, just dead weight. So I would say knowledge of self, having a good team. Oh, and business. You have to be business. You have to learn business. You have to learn how to conduct business. Being on time, being punctual, crossing your T's, dotting your I's. These are things that, in a black community, we're really not taught these things. So I would say those are my top three: knowledge of self, your team / your network, and that's ongoing. You're trying to build, and that's trial and error, and being business literate. And when I say that, taxes and money, finances, all that falls under that.
It's interesting that you say all that. I've been in education for 17 years, and I you know I grew up learning through my cousin, who is a small business owner, has been for the past 25 years. I learned basically 95% of my business attributes from her. Shout out to her for that. I didn't learn this None of this stuff I learned in school at all, and I felt like I was well educated um, in a Commonwealth state, Pennsylvania. Went to Temple University, and I grew up in the '80s, late to mid '90s. Even now, as I'm in 2019, been in education for 17 years, I don't see those things being taught in schools as far as business savvy and everything you just said about taxes and dealing with just basic business skills. Like, you almost gotta basically go to business school, go to college to learn some of these things that should be taught in school. If you don't just learn them through somebody like yourself or just on the street, which is unfortunate.
Oh, yeah. Will you finish? I didn't know if
No,
you
I
were
was
finished.
done. Yeah, I was done.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, speaking to, like you say, we don't learn these things in the black community, of course, because it's really not designed that way. And you said a key word. We're educated. We're taught by someone else, someone who doesn't look like us, someone who's not from our community, to go and work for someone who doesn't look like us, who's not from our community. So that's by design. Um, Me growing up, I didn't have that many people I could go to and get any type of business or finance literacy, anything. I had to learn this, like you say, on the street, or met someone along the way. Um, when I got into the business venture, with my partners in my other fashion business venture, that is when, and that was, say, within the past, say, 6 years, that's when I got it, because I was around people who knew stuff. I was a private, solid investor or private partner. So we were handling all of the things behind the scenes. So it made me really, really hone in on this. So every year we would do taxes. So I'm paying attention to all of this. I'm just learning, bro. So I know people are out there who perish me, and I don't even know that much. But yes, this is by design, and no, they don't teach us to get our own businesses and how to apply for these small business loans and be able to put that money back into our community, because most of the businesses in the Black neighborhood, as we know, are people who are not from our community. We patronize them. They take that money and take it back to their community. So I think they say the Black dollar stays in his community maybe 6 hours, 8 hours, or something like that before it's gone. So everyone knows about money but us. So this is what I felt. Okay, I'm learning all these things about money and finances and taxes and everything. Okay, it empowering me, because now I have some knowledge. Okay, now I want to start my own brand. But by doing that, I know I can't do this all by myself, so I'm going to bring some like-minded people, and I do mean like-minded, because you can't just go and get, your cousin Ray Ray or Junebug, because it's just not going to work. So like I said, you have to get people who are on the same page with you. And in the beginning, yeah, it's going to be a little tough. But like I said, me and my brother, we were back and forth for like 2 years. And after we came out of that, we had learned so much. And we really haven't even done anything, but just going through the process, bouncing ideas. I'm telling him everything that's happening in the experiences I'm having on this end with taxes and my LLC, and just going through those processes of trademarking and doing things like that. So I was able now to share this information with my brother. We're building. Then I connected with my photographer. Now I have a videographer. So it only takes one. Once you get your feet wet and things get to going, you're going to get a process. You're going to get a blueprint. This is how things should flow. This is how things should go. We should be doing this. That's when your structure comes in. Your structure is going to be very important, because things are supposed to happen in a certain order, and you need to be what I say. I have a little saying I use. Don't panic, but you need to have a sense of urgency. It's not panicking, but it's, I know this needs to get done by this time. So that's where my structure helps me come in. I've been in the military, so I kind of grew up like that. So the structure wasn't a problem. It was, okay, what do I want to do? Like, how am I going to express myself? How is this going to come out? And what's the best way to do this? And then who are the best people to have around me to build this? And like I said, I'm still going through that. But probably I have 4 solid people on my team right now.
What do you think is the next step for the company? What could we be looking forward to? Later on this summer, later on this year. What's up next?
Oh yeah, next we are working on the next campaign, which is the Pillars campaign, PILLARS, the Pillars, which is the confidence, the discipline, consistency, confidence, knowledge of self, discipline, structure, consistency, your results. And so I have 3 campaigns, branding campaigns. So the logo campaign was the first. The Pillars campaign is next. We're finalizing the images and we're getting everything for that to drop probably sometime this summer. I haven't nailed the date down yet, but it will be released this year. And then I have another campaign coming behind that, and that'll be what I call the slogan campaign. So every time you see me, you'll know me for, these, my pillars, my logo, and the slogan. So this is how I'm choosing to brand myself, basically. So just getting the name out there and letting people see it. And also by the end of the year, the website will be up. And the website will be acmlifestyle.com. So this is also coming. I'm working on that as well. And I've got some people I'm talking to. We're pulling everything together. So it's a small operation. I'm not in a hurry. I want it to be done right. And I'm just giving it all I got, man. It's been a journey, but I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. Because everything keeps reaffirming and validating that. So I know I'm in the space I'm supposed to be.
Now, we were talking earlier about some things that you would recommend to the do's to young entrepreneurs. What are some of the don'ts? What are some of the missteps that you had coming up, going through this process as you tried to get, attempted to reach, get to where you're at right now?
Let's see. Well, in the beginning, definitely your finances and your money. You don't want to waste any money because you don't have that much in the beginning, unless you have, you get a loan or you got somebody sponsoring you or writing you a check or giving you a donation. Which I didn't want to take any of that starting off because I wanted to prove to myself that I could get this up and running on my own. So I had people in my family who supported me and who wanted to give me money, but I told them I didn't want it. I said, let me, get it up and running. Let me prove to myself that I can do this. And I knew I could. And this is something that I had to go through. It was, like I said, journey, something I wanted to do with my brother. I always wanted to work with him. I always knew that we could creatively come together and do something, and put something out. So it was really more about the journey than anything. That's where the satisfaction came from. I really haven't made any real money on this, but the feeling inside that I accomplished something basically from scratch, that is the greatest feeling ever. And being able to work with my brother. So, if I was giving advice to a young cat coming out who got all the aspirations and and everything, is don't jump out the window with it. So just take your time with it. It's better to do it right than to do it fast, because all you're going to do is waste that money. So if it takes the time to get it right, just get it right, because you don't have a second chance to make a first impression. So I knew when I came out, I wanted it to just be in your face, and it's solid. So I knew that. So and patience is just it's to each his own. It's what do you want your brand to look like? How you want to represent yourself? This is you. When people see this is you. So you really, to each his own, but you really have to put that work in, because it doesn't happen on its own. The attention to detail, the long hours, just the long nights. It never ends. Like when I leave here, it's just more to do. So you really gotta want it, and you really have to dedicate yourself, and you really, and it's easier said than done. You have to be disciplined. You have to cut out all of the BS, and if you want to, the dream is not going to come any faster than you work on it. So as much as you put into it, that's what you're going to get out of it.
Without question. Before I let you go here, I want you to get your information out there as far as social media, IG, Twitter, Facebook, so that the people can know where to find you. Certainly with I know you said the website's not up, but you have, you know, I know, I know you have some things that you can present to the people as far as where they can contact you, in terms of merchandise and things of that nature. And I for my audience, I will post it on my social media platforms as well. So if you don't, if you miss this podcast, hopefully you don't. But if you do miss this podcast, I will post it on my social media. So just give the audience your information. Uh, give you information in terms of the social media.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I appreciate it, brother. Yes, I can be reached at Facebook, Instagram, and I'm on YouTube. And my handle is ACM Lifestyle for all three: Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. ACM Lifestyle. They can all also email me at acmlifestyle at gmail.com. And I have a phone number as well: 301 892 6301.
Adrian, again, thank you for joining me, joining the program. Again, a lot of not only business lessons, but some life lessons that we certainly can take from the process of becoming an entrepreneur, the branding, the putting together your team, and again where this came from. And again, we all everybody loves money, everybody wants to make money, but when you say that this started from as a dedication and continues as a dedication to your late mother and sister, that that definitely is something that I would have to think that will drive you beyond all any type of struggle or setbacks that you have in this process. So I definitely thank you for sharing that, and look forward to having you on another time, and as you keep progressing in your journey as an entrepreneur.
Oh, most definitely, man. I'd love to come back. Thank you for inviting me. The next, like I said, next campaign coming around, I got you on the merch. And I just appreciate you giving me your platform to talk to your audience and give myself my brand some exposure. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem, Adrian. Have a great rest of the evening.
Okay, you too, and we'll talk soon.
No question.
Okay, have a good night.
You too. That of course was Adrian McDonald, promoting, talking about his brand, his business, ACM, all calculated measures. You see the sweatshirt here. Um, you see the sweatshirt. I've worn a T-shirt before as well. Had the T-shirt was worn on one of the podcasts a few weeks back when I actually had hair, as you see. No more hair, but again, money is good. Money is good. Money can be great. But the bottom line is when you do something, when you have a passion for something, money cannot be the main motivation to me for you to reach your full potential at whatever you do. It just can't be. You heard from Adrian talking about the process, talking about he's giving away merchandise, more merchandise than money that he's making, talking about building relationships through the community, going through out of his thank you, Brenda. That's very kind of you to say. Talking about building through the community, going to churches, going to neighborhoods, selling out the trunk. It's part of the struggle. It's part of the hustle. And Adrian has did a tremendous job at explaining what he had to go through to get to this point, to where he could sell these sweatshirts and T-shirts. I think the most important part of it was just to to place it where it's coming from, in terms of it's coming from the heart. You dedicate it, to his, dedicating it to his late sister and mother. That's something that you wake up with every day for the rest of your life. In terms of, that's something that you can never get over that. And that's something that is a passion, that is motivation that will be with him, forever. So again, thanks to Adrian for joining the program. I hope to have him on in the future as he continues his journey as a business owner, and I'm looking forward to that. Want to make a transition real quick because it was a lot going on this weekend in the world of sports and pop culture. I'll begin with the NBA. Um, Golden State, Houston. Listen, I don't want to sit up here and have a whole soliloquy about the officiating. I frankly applaud the officials for not giving in to Harden and the rest of the Rockets for what they've been doing for the better part of the year, and that's basically playing mind games with the officials, and in particular James Harden, who's the ringleader of this, and drawing fouls that are just not fouls. It's gotten to a point to where we don't even know where is the safe landing spot for a jump shooter. Because when you got a guy who was kicking his legs out 2 feet beyond where he started his jump shot, what is a defensive player supposed to do? Again, I don't blame the officials at all for not making any of those calls. Houston had opportunities to win that game. Capella was terrible. PJ Tucker was a non-factor. Harden didn't, frankly, despite the 35 points, was 9-28, was not a major factor in the fourth quarter as far as I'm concerned. I thought Paul played well, minus the technical fouls, which, 14 years in the league, you can't give your Chris Paul. But the Houston had opportunities to win that game. Period. They had their chances. And, to me, the difference in this series, besides talent, because Golden State, we know Golden State has the best talent in the league, especially at the top. But the difference in this series is mental. Is one team is mentally tougher than the other. Houston is so caught up in these, the refs. They're coming out with reports about from 2018. Why are you why are you still concerned about calls that were missed in the conference finals last year? They came out with this report that had 81 missed calls, according to them, and their analytics and all that nonsense that they have. 81 missed calls in that 7 game series from against Golden State last year. So to me, you're already creating a built-in excuse for your team moving forward. Focus on playing basketball. Focus on slowing down Kevin Durant. Okay. Focus on getting a defensive rebound. Focus on that. Again, I don't want the officials and it's going to be an ongoing story. I don't want the officials to take away from some of the individual matchups, to take away from the fact that this may be the last go around for Golden State as we know it in terms of this particular team. Take away from the individual brilliance of Kevin Durant, who, and I've said this the better part of the last 2 years, is the best player in the world. You can complain about what he says to the media, how he goes back and forth with the media, some of his own complaining. But as far as his game goes, Kevin Durant is the best player in the world. Period. There's no debating, there's no discussion. He is the best player in the world right now. So again, I think this series will still go 7. I think Houston will be heard from. They're gonna have a game where they make 18 or 23s. They're gonna have a game where PJ Tucker scores 20 points and knocks down 5 or 6 threes. They're gonna have that type of game. They wasted a great performance by Eric Gordon. Again, that was a game that Houston could have won. Again, I'm glad. I applaud the officials. I applaud the officials for not going for the falling for the James Harden shenanigans with the kick out, with the jumping into the defensive player. They'll get some of those calls in game 2. That's just the way that's just the nature of the beast in terms of how the NBA goes. But I think this will be a long drawn out series, and I still like Golden State in 7. Boston, as far as Boston Milwaukee, I don't want to overreact to one game. I thought Giannis, I thought he panicked. I thought he forced a lot of stuff. Um, and not saying he didn't trust his teammates, but I thought he was forcing a lot of forcing stuff that was not there. He has to give up the ball. Again, Milwaukee had a number of shots that they had a number of open shots because Boston was giving up open threes. Boston's like, we're not going to let you kill us in the paint. We're going to make your role players make jump shots, make 3-point shots. So from that standpoint, Milwaukee is one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. In the league this year, they got some good shots. These were not forced 3-point shots. They got some good shots that they missed. Obviously, they had to get more out of Bledsoe and Lopez. That goes without saying. I'm not worried about the Greek Freak. He'll come back. He has a lot of pride. He'll play. He's a great player. He'll play better. Not really concerned about him. Um, Game two will tell you all you need to know about that series. If Milwaukee goes down quiet in game two, then the series will be over. But I feel like Milwaukee will bounce back and win and have a double digit and win by double digits in game two tomorrow. As far as the weekend action, listen, Kawhi Leonard. This is the Kawhi Leonard that we saw before what transpired in San Antonio last year. This is a guy who, to me, probably, if we are ranking the players, probably right now is probably the third best player in the world. I would rank him. I would go Durant, Greek Freak, and Kawhi. I mean, you could even rank him as the second best player in the world. To be honest with you, you could go either Durant, Kawhi, Greek Freak, Curry, and whoever, LeBron, Harden, whoever's in. You could put a few people in that fifth spot, but this is cool. Once he got that jump shot, offensively, it was game over. Like there's no way to stop him. The guy can post up physically. He's this guy is 6'7", 230 pounds of muscle. He can get to where he wants to get. He can get a shot anytime he wants. He plays under control completely. He's in completely under control when he plays. Rarely do you see him get a out of control charge. Rarely do you see him. There's no wasted motion with Kawhi Leonard, none. And that jump shot right now is on automatic. Right now, Kawhi, look at where he's performed. Look at his numbers in the postseason. The guy's shooting 58% from the field. And these are not just layups and dunks. These are shooting 51% from the three-point line, 58% overall. And, he has this team. Again, one of the reasons why I thought Toronto would get to the finals. You have a guy who wants the ball when the game's on the line. A guy who not afraid of the big moment. He's played on the finals, played in the finals twice, won the finals MVP back in 2014. That is a different level from what they had last year, from what they've had in past years in DeMar DeRozan. If you're Philadelphia, you cannot allow, it's one thing Kawhi to get 30, 35, 40. You cannot allow Siakam to get 29, 30 points. Siakam at 29, 7 and 7. You have to take Siakam away. You have to limit him. You can't allow that dude to get 25 to 30 points. And Siakam has been great throughout the postseason. He has established himself as their third best player. Toronto's in great shape if Kyle Lowry is their number 3 or number 4. They're in great shape because in the past, Kyle Lowry had to be their number 2. If Kyle Lowry is your number 3 or 4, your third or fourth best player, you have an opportunity to compete for a championship. So we'll see what Philly is made of. Obviously, the game is going on right now. We'll see what they're made of for game 2. Embiid, and I anticipate that he played. I could not see him sitting out with a stomach illness. So I can't see him sitting out from that. But either way, this was going to be a tough matchup for Philadelphia. I like Toronto in 6 games. It might even go shorter than that. But you have Portland and Denver playing later tonight, and there you go with the NBA conference semifinals are in gear. Again, I still like Golden State and Toronto to be in the finals. I haven't seen anything that would change that. But again, you have teams like Houston, Milwaukee, and those teams certainly think they can make a run and get to a finals, possibly win a championship. I want to get to one last thing before I let you go here. So you had the Tyreek Hill situation come about late last week, Thursday into Friday. And, the natural reaction was for the for people to, take shots at him, the media to rip him, this, that, and third. I want to say this one thing. Before you get to any prejudging or passing any judgment on what type of person or what type of father or what type of spouse you think Tyreek Hill is, understand this. That audio that you heard that was leaked should have never came out at all. There has to be, I have to be allowed in 2019 to have a conversation within my own house with my family without worrying about it hitting Twitter or hitting the internet. I can't imagine. And how would you feel your husband, wife, significant other, if that conversation, or just dinner, or if you were just having dinner with your family, if that conversation leaked out and got out somehow. So before we even talk about what was said, we gotta begin with the idea that that conversation got out, that audio got out. And again, this is not a Ray Rice. It's not even Kareem. It's not Kareem Hunt. It's definitely not Ray Rice. Everything was denied by Hill in that audio. Um, we don't know definitively if he broke his son's arm. He's been accused by the girlfriend of that, but we don't know that definitively. We don't. Now, if I had to guess, I would lean towards a 3-year-old child not lying on his dad. But again, that's a judgment call by me. There's no legitimate proof of that. But that goes beside the point. The bottom line is that audio, we should have never heard that audio. Never. So the NFL is going to do what the NFL does. They're going to do the pretend like we care move in terms of this non-exempt list until we can, gather some more information or look more into it. But that's just a move that is strictly for optics. That's just a move to make it seem like for public perception. That's what that is. The non-exempt list. Because all they had is her word against his. That's all you have. All that audio said was his word against hers. What gives her more credibility than him? But again, put that aside for a second. It's about the audio coming out. It's about that. It's about the audio. That audio should have never came out. Should have never came out. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil Podcast. As always, you can find this podcast on Blog Talk Radio. You can find it on YouTube. The Ril Dil Podcast, telling it like it is with no apologies. Thanks for listening.